Hello and welcome to the channel, or welcome back to the channel if you've been here before. If you haven't been here before, my name is Sherman, and today I want to share something with you. I want to share with you some ways to deal with what we call loss. 5 ways to deal with loss. See, loss is something that we all have to deal with at some point in time. And most of the time when we think about a loss, we think about death. And that's essentially what it is. Loss equals death. Not necessarily the death of a person, though. Sometimes it can be the loss of something that we hold valuable and hold dear, like a relationship. And these 5 ways that I'm going to share with you, they're going to apply, or they apply in either situation. When you have that really negative internal feeling, that feeling of loss, these are 5 things that you can do to help alleviate some of that pain and some of that stress, essentially some of that suffering. Right? So let's get started. Number one, the first and probably the most familiar way is to participate in rituals. In the case of someone dying, actually a physical death, these rituals would be something like a funeral, right, or a memorial service. This is the time when people get together and we share some of the good times, some of the good memories. One of the reasons I bring this up because this is something that I experienced recently, and I can vividly picture these steps in my mind. Rituals, the coming together, the gathering, that energy can help you deal with it. That way, you're not alone, and that's a big part of it. When you experience a loss, a lot of times it leads to feelings of confusion, like what comes next, what do I do next. Sometimes it helps to just settle down in that moment, in the now, with people that you care about, and to go through these rituals, work your way through these rituals, and that will help alleviate a lot of that pain in a lot of cases. Now, outside of an actual physical death, I mentioned earlier, relationship. Well, what would a ritual look like in the case of the loss of a relationship? One of the rituals that I know very well, I know personally, I know a lot of people know, is going out and having a drink, right? A lot of times people will say, let's have a drink, right? Not saying that alcohol is the cure. That's not the point I'm making here. What it is that process, that coming together, that camaraderie, that linking up with uh, one or more good friends, getting together and processing it step by step. So rituals is a good way to help deal with the loss. Number two, accepting your emotions. Accept your emotions. That word accept is a powerful, powerful word. That is one of the keys to survival. As a matter of fact, there is a prayer where it says, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Acceptance, these things that we cannot change. It is over, or it is gone. The loss has happened. There's no going back. We can't go back and change it. We have to deal with it. We can choose to fight that, resist that, and what happens is we're never able to move forward. It's always there, and the strength of that loss remains the same. It remains strong. It never weakens. But if we can accept it, we'll find that that pain and that suffering will start to subside. It will start to wane until one day either we can't feel it or we barely feel it anymore, or we may even find ourselves smiling in the midst of thinking about that loss. So, number two, acceptance. Now let's move on to number three. Number three is closely associated, closely related to the first step, which is these rituals. This is a little bit more specific. This is talk about it when you can. What happens when we talk about it? In order to speak a thing, we have to think a thing. In order to think that thing, these processes start to happen in our head. So as we talk it out, we work it out. So the power in talking about it allows you to address some of the things that are at the forefront, some of the things that are really concerning you, some of the things that are top of mind, But also through that course of conversation, you may find that some things that you hadn't considered or some things that were buried come to the surface and you're able to work those things out. So talk about it. Talk about it when you can. Number four, another good tip, strategy, is to preserve memories, especially when you're losing something that is valuable to you, something that was a major part of your life at some point in time, at least, and often for a long period of time in your life. Preserving those memories, a lot of good memories involved there. Those are the ones you want to seek to preserve. This can be photographs. This can be items that were exchanged that represent the nature of that relationship. It could be a ton of different things, but preserving those memories allows us to keep the good parts alive, um, to keep the good parts feeding us, that positive energy that's embedded in them. So preserving those memories can be a really good way of helping to cope with that loss. At some point in the future, you may find that a lot of these things aren't as important, but as we're dealing with these things, um, they may be more important in the short term. So preserving memories is an excellent way to cope with loss. And number five, which perhaps may be the most important um, strategy for coping with loss, and that is to get the help that you need. In order for that to happen, you have to realize or understand that you need help. Um, it's a big difference between self analysis and self diagnosis. And self analysis is all good. Sometimes it's really good to dig in there and ask yourself questions to find out where you are. I mean, you can do that for yourself, but when it starts to come to, say, mental disorders, sickness of the mind, a lot of these things can result from that. And this is where we start to get into very dangerous territory. This is where, like myself, I hold a title of doctor. My PhD is in a field called metaphysical science. It's not a medical degree, right? I'd be willing to have a conversation with you about a lot of different things with the goal of helping you to think about certain things. But when we get into the realm of diagnosis and we get into the realm of um, these deep medical topics, it's time for some qualified medical help, right? Um, Now, it's not always just in the medical sense. I mean, a lot of things can happen to you which throws off your body and causes some imbalances and some things that can make you sick, physically sick. Um, we're also talking about in the area of um, religion, guidance, whatever religion you ascribe to, whatever belief systems you hold dear, because there's a lot of power in that. Not saying that any system is right or any system is wrong or anything like that, but the power lies in the fact that you believe, right? So belief is a very, very powerful thing. And sometimes you'll need some you'll need a guide. You'll need someone to walk with you, right? And show you the way. So whatever the issue is, whatever the problem is, we have to be able to recognize, if not what it is, the fact that we just need some help. And if you seek it, you will find it. The key is knowing when you need to seek some help. Doesn't make you weak, doesn't make you a victim. In fact, it makes you strong and ultimately will help make you become the victor when you can identify the need for help and seek the help that you need. So there you have it. 5 different ways to cope with loss. Happens to us all. Happens to the best of us. It's not what happens to us so much as it is how we react and what we do about it. So if this is something you're going through or someone you know happens to be going through this, remember these 5 steps and Help where you can if it happens to be someone that you know, and help where you can if it happens to be you. In the comment section below, you will find a link. I'm going to put a link down there that links to a PDF that I put together, 100 questions. 100 questions that we can ask ourselves. These are basically questions of self analysis, and this is a very, very powerful tool. 100 questions and the space to dive in and answer them in depth. But I can tell you this, if you are willing to take the time to go through these questions and answer them honestly, you will know yourself better than 99% of the population. I kid you not. Most people never really know themselves. If you are up for the challenge, or you see the need, or you understand the benefits of actually knowing yourself, I would encourage you to take a look at it. You can just click that link. It'll take you to a page, put in your email address, and you will receive a copy of that PDF. 100 questions. That's one of the most important things that we can do is know ourselves. So on that note, folks, you guys have a beautiful rest of your day or evening or night, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace.